Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather. Or I don't know, that thing, that magic.
If you have played video games for as long as I have, you recognize that line. If you don't, you've certainly heard of the stories about this game. Released in the latter half of 2013, Grand Theft Auto V, with a budget estimated to be around $250 million, amassed $1 billion in the first 3 days of its release. That was just the beginning. But in 2019, just 6 years later, Grand Theft Auto V became the highest grossing media property of all time, checking in at around $6 billion. Now, how did they do it? Step 1. Release critically acclaimed game after critically acclaimed game for years. With a history of games like Red Dead Redemption, Bully, and all the previous GTA games before it, Rockstar, the game studio behind GTA, clearly knew how to make a game. Step 2. Promise and then develop a revolutionary online mode, along with a crazy single-player campaign. Before the game's release, Rockstar announced a lot of the game's key features. As seen here, you could play as 3 different characters almost simultaneously. You are tasked with robbing a tower, and to rob that tower you must switch between the story's 3 main characters to finish it properly. Another thing the studio announced before the game's release was the promise of being able to play with your friends, collect money, do heists, buy houses and cars, all within the game's online mode, which takes place before the single-player campaign. Step 3. Profit. To nobody's surprise, the single-player portion of the game was great. I don't have a lot of time to talk about it here, but there is a link in the description if you want a rundown of it. People came to Grand Theft Auto V for the story, but they stayed for the online portion. The original release of the online mode wasn't much of a head-turner. Yes, it was fun, but it was plain. The updates is what made it so lucrative. Rockstar Games quickly saw how profitable microtransactions were. Grand Theft Auto Online has become a very big game since the year since its release. There is hundreds of items worth millions of the in-game currency. The only way to get in-game currency is to either do missions and get paid, or pay to get paid. It has never been hard to make money on GTA Online, but if one thing is for sure is that it is a lot easier to pay for the in-game currency than it is to play for it. So with the introduction of shark cards, the microtransaction that gives you in-game currency, the game made billions. In 2018 alone, Grand Theft Auto Online amassed over $1 billion in sales, not because of physical and digital versions of the game, but because of the microtransactions. The prices of shark cards fit any wallet. From $3 to $100, it is easy to see how people spend so much money on this game. The amount of money GTA Online brings in is enough to see that the game is popular, but the numbers show a much bigger influence. Grand Theft Auto V is the 3rd highest owned video game of all time, behind only Minecraft and Tetris, both of which include mobile sales, of which Grand Theft Auto is not available on. It was last reported that Grand Theft Auto V has sold 120 million copies. That number is sure to be a lot higher now that millions of copies were given away just this month for free on the Epic Games Store. Grand Theft Auto V and the Grand Theft Auto IP as a whole have become so synonymous with video games that it is considered the gold standard of open world type video games. Often when discussing video games, you will hear things like, it's Grand Theft Auto but with hacking, or it's like Grand Theft Auto but in the Old West. The past few weeks have shown that we haven't seen the end of Grand Theft Auto V yet, as it was just announced that in 2021 the game will be re-released to owners of both upcoming consoles, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. Grand Theft Auto V will be one of the few games to live through 3 different console generations and survive with a die-hard following. Despite the success of Grand Theft Auto V, the studio behind the game still has not announced a GTA 6, making it the longest period of time without a new GTA. This has angered many fans. To many, it seems that Rockstar Games saw success in Grand Theft Auto V Online and decided that that was going to be their priority from now on, ignoring the fans of the single-player campaign. There is rumors that Grand Theft Auto 6 is currently halfway done through development, but there is others that say it hasn't even started yet. It is unknown when we will see the next installment of the series, but we will eventually. The game has simply made too much money to ignore that possibility. What will become of the legacy of the game, I'm not sure. In 50 years, the game could be seen as a company milking one of their properties for all the money they could, but the game could also be seen as a company really caring about their games and deciding to support it for years after its initial release. If one thing is for sure though, is that the early years of the game will be seen fondly by millions of people. Getting together with friends and playing through bank heists has become a staple in many people's lives, and that is a memory sure to stick.